Admitting him
Very
now.
good. I've got 5:30 Verizon time. So with that, let me call the regular meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for Monday, July the 25th, 2021 to order. Let me first acknowledge that due to the COVID-19 emergency restrictions, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen will conduct this essential business by electronic means rather than by the required to get together in a quorum with all the members physically present at the same location. Because it is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans, this meeting is in compliance with Governor's Executive Order number 71. With that said, and it seems that we're all gathered together, let me go ahead and announce that we do have a public hearing. This public hearing is on ordinance number 1546, a request to amend the zoning ordinance on the City of Tullahoma zoning, a parcel of 104 Southside Street from C2 to R3. Is there anyone who would like to speak in the public hearing on the zoning ordinance? We'll have 2 minutes. Hearing none, we'll go to the regular board meeting, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. We'll do a roll call. Ms. Golden, would you do the roll call?
Yes, Mayor Noes.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Blanks.
Here.
Alderperson Almacher.
Here.
Alderperson Berry.
Here.
Alderperson Blackwell.
Here.
Alderperson Dunn.
Here.
And Alderperson McGee.
Here.
That would be 7 present. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ms. Golden. Reverend Smith, are you available to do the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag?
Give him just a minute to unmute.
Reverend Smith, are you available?
It's up here in the top.
Okay.
Yeah, he's showing as unmuted, but we're not able to hear
Are
him.
you available to go ahead with the invocation and the pledge to the flag? You're recognized to do the pledge. And the prayer. Reverend Smith, I don't understand why you're not able to join us. I see your hand. Could you do the prayer and the pledge? Ms. Moody, do you have any suggestion for how to get Reverend Smith online?
I do not. It appears unmuted, so I'm thinking that his microphone
He's currently muted.
Reverend Smith, if you will click the arrow, the up arrow beside your mute button, and then you probably have a different microphone option. Select one of those, and that's probably going to get you on track.
Mr. English has done this a time or two.
You could say that.
Reverend Smith, I'm sorry that we're unable to do that for you. I'm going to impose again on our Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor Blanks. Would you please lead our prayer and then proceed with the Pledge of Allegiance?
Okay.
We bow, please. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for many blessings. Father, be with us today as we conduct the city's business of Tullahoma, this great little city. We live in the greatest city, the greatest state, the greatest country in the world. Please look over us. Pray that we'll make wise decisions that are in the interest of all the citizens of Tullahoma. Give us wisdom. Let us think before we speak. Hold our tongue if it's all possible. Father, we pray that 2021 will be a great year, that we will be able to suppress the COVID virus and put it behind us. Please pray that we will still recognize that this is a very serious disease that requires our attention. But with your help, I know we can defeat this. There is light at the end of the tunnel. All these things we ask in your name. Amen. Will you stand for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Dr. Blanks. I'm fortunate to have in my office an American flag that I can stand and properly address it. Thank you again. Reverend Smith, I'm sorry that we were unable to get you on timely for that, but we'll have another opportunity, I'm sure. At this time, we'll look at commendations and certificates. At this time, we do have a commendation, a great commendation to the best assistant high school principal in the state of Tennessee. And with that, I'd like to recognize Jason Quick, who has a letter or some comments that he'd like to make about his high school assistant principal.
Take two. Mary Noah, thank you, and thank you to the Board of Aldermen for taking the time to recognize Dr. English. I have something that I was asked to read, which I will just read the nomination that I had written for Dr. English for this award. Unbeknownst to him, when I saw the advertisement for this, there was nobody else that I could think of more suitable and more worthy to have this honor. Dr. English has served as the backbone of the administrative team at Tullahoma High School for over 5 years prior to my arrival in 2020. Last year, he served as the school leader as the current principal was befallen with injury and illness. During my short time on board as the new principal, Dr. English has impressed me like few others in terms of knowledge, experience, and the ability to get things done. Teachers view him as a valued and trusted resource for every need. Currently, he serves as the Director of Distance Learning at Tullahoma High School, along with all of his other duties. His leadership is the key to why our virtual students have performed so well during these challenging times. If you were to ask me about his strengths, communication, attention to detail, and the ability to lead would be at the top of the long list, along with his professional yet approachable demeanor. Simply stated, Dr. English is a critical cog in all things successful at THS. Without him, we would not reach the levels of success we enjoy. Dr. English is definitely worthy of strong consideration for this award. Please take the time to get to know him, and soon you will see why he is so uniquely qualified. I submitted that last quarter, and it did not take very long for the TNA SSP to realize what a unique treasure and resource we have in Dr. English. I think it goes beyond saying or without saying that he has done so much for this school since coming on board, not only in an administrative capacity, but also in his role as band director, overseeing the fine arts programs for various schools within our system. And quite honestly, I cannot think of anyone who would be more deserving of this award. So, Mayor Noah, I have something I'm going to present to Dr. English, and it's going to take me about a 15-second sprint to his office so I can hand it to him, and then I'll hand it over to you.
Very good. 15 seconds. 14, 13. Dr. English, I'm looking at you now, and I expect to see Mr. Quick walk into your office.
So Mayor Noah's, I'm going to hand this to him. I believe you have this, or should I read this for you, Mayor Noah's?
Let me read that for you. You've done enough reading for tonight. This is from the city of Tullahoma. This certificate of recognition is presented to Dr. Greg English, THS Assistant Principal, in honor of being named the Assistant Principal of the Year by the Tennessee Association of Secondary Schools Principals. We are proud that Dr. English will go on to represent Tullahoma, Tennessee in the national level competition. This award is a testament to the dedicated service Dr. English has provided over the years to the students, teachers, faculty at Tullahoma High School. We congratulate you for this honor and thank you for your commitment to our community. So now on behalf of the 18,655 citizens that call Tullahoma home, and by the authority vested in me as the mayor of Tullahoma, I now therefore proclaim Monday, January the 25th, 2021 as Greg English Day in Tullahoma and urge all and beseech all citizens to recognize the same. Signed, Ray Norris, Mayor. Congratulations, Dr. English, and I will give you the floor, and you may have a word to say to tell us how you became so popular with all the students, and you're being recognized by your superior there, Dr. Quick, and talk to us about your career a little bit.
Well, of course, as he mentioned, I was in fine arts for the teaching part of my career. I was the West Middle Choir Director, and then the middle school band director, and then of course the high school band director, and was the first Tullahoma Fine Arts coordinator for the system. Tullahoma City Schools is just a great place to work. Being in that band directing world, I had lots of colleagues in other systems, and I've known for a long time that there's really just no other place that I want to be. As far as being the assistant principal of the year, there's no magic there. I show up every day and I try to do what's right. I try to take care of our students. Try to advise them as best I can to make good decisions and stay on that path towards walking across that stage after 4 years. So it's a great place to work. I work with great people, and I greatly appreciate the support I've received from Mr. Quick this year. I greatly appreciate the nomination, and I'm excited to represent our city, our school system, and specifically Tullahoma High School as I move forward into the national competition.
That's wonderful. Dr. English, Tullahoma is certainly proud to have you in our community. You're such an asset to the community. You're a major reason why Tullahoma is recognized as having one of the better school systems in the state. So again, congratulations and good luck in your national competition.
Thank you, sir.
Again, we have another employee recognized this month as the January Employee of the Month. Ms. Moody, would you like to present that?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And I also like to use this opportunity to remind any citizens that are watching that in addition to our employees, we do accept nominations from citizens for this honor. And so this month, the Employee of the Month has been nominated by an employee in another department, and I think exemplifies teamwork and really going above and beyond to help other departments. This month's employee is Eric Pierce he's superintendent in our Public Works Department. And I'll read to you the nomination. I'm nominating Eric from Public Works. There have been 2 instances I needed help with, and he was ready and willing both times. The first was with a tree issue where a sidewalk was damaged by a dead or dying tree. Eric and I met with the homeowner and each other to decide how to proceed. In the end, Eric handled the removal of the tree with his work crew and fixed the sidewalk, saving the city dollars against contracting out the tree work. since really it technically didn't meet the definition of a hazard tree. By taking care of it in-house, helping both the homeowner and the forestry budget remove a hazardous line item. The second concerned a break-in at Wagner Park Babe Ruth Field press box. Due to the damage from misuse by third parties, the external press box speakers were damaged and they needed to be replaced last year. Upon replacement, the new speakers could only be installed as high as our ladder would go, making them still vulnerable to possible theft if a thief wanted to put in extra effort. When the press box was broken in this January, items were stolen from inside, but the speakers were still there. We decided it was time to move them higher up the facade and replace the equipment to deter future problems. When asked, Eric offered to help with the Public Works bucket truck when it was available, again, saving city dollars from having to rent a lift or sending someone up an extension ladder where there's potential for injury. Eric's willingness to help across department lines embodies the type of employee we should be looking for in all departments that offers solutions to problems when they present, and I think Eric's a worthy candidate for his attitude and willingness to help outside his box. And I would just concur with that. I regularly hear, as I talk to employees, Eric's still a fairly new employee, and people have been getting to know him, and they always say, "Oh, that Eric, he does a great job. He's great to work with." And so I just want to congratulate you, Eric, and thank you for being one of those employees that we all enjoy working with and makes it a pleasure to work here. And so I wish in person we could take our photo and I could give you this certificate, but we'll do that in person another day this week and take a photo. Let me turn it over to your department director, Mr. Taylor.
Well, I appreciate Lyle for saying that. Eric is a guy, and I know he'll probably say he's just doing his job. But Eric goes above and beyond. Anytime he's working on anything, any task I've given him, he'll take it to the mat. He'll do whatever he can to accomplish the task. And I've known Eric for a long time. I was glad to get him when we got him. Timing was right, and I appreciate everything he does every day for the city of Tullahoma and the citizens.
And Eric, would you like to say anything?
Yes, I'm just very thankful, and I can't express how much I enjoy working for the city, and I'm very lucky and honored to have a great department. We have great employees at Public Works, and it's just it's a great team, and I appreciate everybody. And thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Eric.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
At this time, do we have any comments from citizens who would like to address the board? Hearing none, we'll move on to reports from the members of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. Alderman Berry, I'm going to pick on you to start us off tonight.
I got a couple things here. I attended the, re-inaugural meeting of the Community Council for Diversity and Inclusion. Any time that we get citizens to participate and share opinions, I think is incredible. It was encouraging to see people out and willing to get out and talk. I'd also like to congratulate Mr. English. Tullahoma has always prided itself on our education system, and that's who we are, deep-rooted. And I think that that's a great sign of that. Attended the retirement ceremony for Fire Marshal Richard Steiner, who is leaving us after 25 years, I think almost 26 years of service to the city. He will be missed. Congratulations to Nick Kimbrell, who I think will do an incredible job. But there is Steiner said he didn't have big shoes, so there's a big shadow to fill there. We had a board meeting at the Consolidated Communication Center up on the hill. This is one of my favorite boards to be on simply because of what they do and the impact that it has. We discussed some personnel issues there. We'll have a study session on, the 10th and another meeting on the 17th. Congratulations to Eric Pierce. I think that's well deserved. I got to talk a little bit with Director Taylor today. I think that's a good time to mention you don't always notice what Public Works does, but it's massive amounts of stuff around the city. Thank you for what they have done here around the Maplewood. Anytime I've ever had to speak to them, they've been responsive, and so thank you all. Congratulations to several members of TPD for not only completing their master's degree, but doing it on the Dean's List. That I think is incredible. These are more just some things I'm going to steal from Miss Moody here, maybe. I noticed in reading the board packets, we had a significant drop in our turnover rate. And I think that speaks wonders, and the board packet kind of said that, but for the culture that we are creating here in the city employment and for the training, and it's expensive to hire new people. And it's not just the expense, but it speaks well when people are wanting to stay and work for the city of Tullahoma. One more congratulations and there's several who have hit marks here, but Investigator Johnny Gore on 26 years of service. Anytime I'm seeing a ton, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, I think that's an amazing thing. Separately, I've got a couple projects I'm pretty excited about, and I'm working on with what I call champions in the community. One of them surrounding housing, and the other that I'll be talking with you, Miss Moody, here shortly, that surrounds folk life and celebrating cultural history and heritage here in Tullahoma. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Berry. Alderman McGee.
Let me see. And I may start coughing still when I talk from, the remnants or the residue of having COVID-19. I may start coughing when I talk a lot. So if I start coughing, just please excuse me. Both the TAEDC and the Tullahoma Housing Authority meetings were canceled due to some of the employees and the staff not feeling well. However, there are new businesses and developments coming to our city, which is exciting, and it's a sign of growth for Tullahoma. One thing that I'm very excited about is last meeting I talked about reefs across America and wanting to include Evergreen Cemetery. I'm excited to announce that in less than or about 36 hours, I was able to raise over $1,000. Reefs Across America will match that 100%. So this year, Evergreen Cemetery will be included in the Reefs Across America ceremony for 2021 in December. And I just want to say thank you to all of you who donated. It is greatly appreciated. I am planning a pop-up shop for small businesses. I've reached out to some people from here locally, Murfreesboro and Nashville, and possibly collaborating with Winston Brooks and Alderman Dunn. So far, I have about 20 businesses that are interested to participate in the pop-up shop. Of course, it just depends on how the virus is going and the numbers look, early spring, late spring, when we'll finalize a date. But I am excited about that, to have so many businesses interested in participating in the pop-up shop. And I would like to say congratulations to Dr. English and Mr. Eric Pierce. And that is all I have. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman McGee. Alderman Amacher.
Okay, my kids should be coming in the door any minute now, so y'all might hear a bunch of ruckus in the background. I'd like to start off this week of this meeting with my small business shout out, so I don't forget it. This week I want to recognize For the Win Cigar Shop and Lounge on West Lincoln Street. If those of you who may not have had a chance to get by there, they are having live music on Saturdays. And this Saturday, they are showcasing a man by the name of Bobby Tomlinson, who generally plays in downtown Nashville, but the venue that he normally plays at was affected by the bombing. And so they have invited him down for the win to play some music Saturday night. They have a very inviting atmosphere. It's definitely a premier downtown destination, and they offer some local craft beers. So y'all go and check that out. I, too, attended the retirement ceremony for Mr. Steiner. I want to thank him for his 25 years of service. Also want to congratulate Mr. English and Mr. Pierce and thank them also for their service that that we are so grateful for every day here in Tullahoma. I also attended the Community Council for Diversity and Inclusion meeting and got to speak with Pastor Torbert, and we had a great conversation. And part of the conversation that we had was about the expungement fair that I'm still hoping to be able to, for us as a board and a city to be involved in putting one together for our citizens. At Mr. Steiner's retirement ceremony, I actually mentioned this to Chief Williams, and I thought, what a great use of the community room that might be to be able to try to foster a more positive relationship with our city police department and those individuals who could benefit from getting an expungement. I want to encourage the board for us to continue our study sessions as we can. I feel like there was a lot of good coming out of those, and we've made some headway on exploring a structure for evaluations for our city administrator, and I think that we need to continue looking at what MTAS has sent us and act upon that as well. We had a tree board meeting last week, and I'll just tell you guys, Lyle Russell is just fantastic. He, with his forestry background and everything, there have been some calls into the city this week out on Wiseman Road, some concerns about some trees that are dead. And I just want to encourage citizens that if you see, issues with trees in the city, that you can call the tree board and we will send somebody out to look at those to make sure that they're not going to be a liability for the city, or they're not going to fall and hurt somebody or anything like that. And he has been really at it this week, and I know Public Works has been involved with helping out with some of that as well. And our newest member on that board, Ashley Shockley, had some really great recommendations. And one of which was that I was supposed to submit to the board, so I'm going to do that right now, and that hopefully we could get support for, with Mr. Brooks and Ms. Moody, for getting a Facebook page designated just for the tree board, and that way citizens knew how to reach out to the tree board. So hopefully to the citizens, that's going to be coming soon too, and we can showcase, our Arbor Day celebrations and things like that, and it be just another tool for our citizens to understand what the tree board is and what they do for our city. The Tourism Council meeting was canceled for this month and rescheduled for February. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Lockhart. Alderman Blackwell.
Hi. Yes, bear with me. I've been busy the past 2 weeks. First of all, I'll start off with we had a planning commission meeting, which was wonderful, very, very long. You'll see some things on it that are going to be coming up in tonight's meeting. Main thing that I got from the planning commission meeting is that what I then took to the school board meeting is how I'm going to try to work on making sure that I get them the agendas so I can talk to them as well and get some feedback from them before I go into their meetings. So that's something I definitely want to work on and work with Dr. Stevens on. So that's one of the things. The school board meeting happened right afterwards, so I was running a little late to that, but made it to that. Want to give you a couple of updates about our school system. 87% of our students right now are actually in person, which is huge. 13% are virtual. So want to give you guys what the numbers look like, how many of our students are actually getting in the classroom, which is good news. I know our school system is working so hard to ensure that there's good, proper protocols over there. I know also with that being said, Dr. Stevens said that she's monitoring student and teacher case counts every day with COVID, quarantine numbers, and other absences to make sure that she's fully getting a good picture of it. So I just wanted to tell you guys what that monitoring looks like and how much work is going into that. I am meeting with the school system, Dr. Quick, I think, and on Friday to talk about with an idea from the mayor that he sent forward to me regarding a possible curriculum that he wanted to have them look at. So, Mayor, I am meeting with him on Friday, and I'm looking forward to that meeting, and also talking already with them about the Mayor's Youth Council, what the status is with that. So that is underway. This past week, I hosted, or I guess the United Way hosted, and I was the presenter for a fundraising workshop for our local nonprofits that are partners with the United Way, kind of telling them some best practices, some new thoughts on how to fundraise during COVID. I know that, a lot of our nonprofits' bread and butter is event fundraising, and that's really not easy to do right now. So talking with them about, major donor work, annual giving, etc. And it was really good to see them and see the work that they're doing. So that was lovely. This past Monday, not this Monday, but the last week of Monday, Martin Luther King Jr. Day is also a day of service. So thank you, Alderman Dunn. We took our kids out to go pick up trash, and they were difficult sometimes to manage. But next year I'm planning on, because of the COVID restrictions, I didn't want to have a big day of service. But I think next year I'm planning on doing some sort of a day of service event on Martin Luther King Jr. Day after the walk that they usually do at CD Stamps. So I wanted to give you guys a heads up about that. I also want to, I think everybody has done it, but I want to shout out to our Planning and Public Works Department. I feel like I've inundated them a bit with questions from our citizens, and they've always been so quick to respond. Every one of our citizens has come back to me saying, thank you so much. I really appreciate that information. They've already fixed it, etc. So that is great news. Jefferson Street Park is, once the weather gets better, I'll be able to get started back with that and work with Kurt Glick on that to keep that moving forward. Right now, with the weather being what it is, it's going to be really hard to finish up the concrete. Thursday, February 11th, I will be having a coffee and conversations. This time it will not be at the Celtic Cup, so it's going to be more like chips and salsa and conversations at Camino Real. So also, we have the Community Council for Diversity and Inclusion meeting, which I was really excited about. Some good ideas. We are forming a steering committee that we're taking applications for. The date for applications was yet today. And so we have around 30 applications to sort through, which is really exciting for a committee of about 7 to 11 people. One of the goals that I heard from the committee as is right now is that they want to have educational forums every quarter of the year and a yearly celebration. And we're looking at, and I've already started discussions with partnering with some of our local organizations and some of our local educational institutions on how they can get involved, what type of sponsorships, because, that's what we're going to need to get this off and running. I think a lot of us are on this Wednesday's Elected Officials Academy. And then this Thursday, I have the Domestic Violence or Lethality Task Force meeting, which we are working on and should have dates this week for when we will be in schools in February talking to the kids about healthy relationships. Finally, congrats to Mr. Pierce and Dr. English, and actually not finally, because the other thing I was going to say is I've in a very nascent stage of talking with a mental health organization about how we can partner with them to somehow bring in some sort of free mental health care to our citizens in need. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. I'm going to do my best, but that is all, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Blackwell. Alderman Dunn, are you recovered enough from your vacation to give us a report?
Oh, yes. We had a blast, by the way. It was so pretty down there. It was too cold to get in the water, but the kids didn't care. It was enough to just let them run like feral children. So it was a lot of fun. We had a good time. But we've been busy. I've talked to the Go Green group, and we have received word from the TVA. We have applied for a grant for the Tennessee Valley Authority, and we received it. And so I'm really excited about this. This is a community outreach grant. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to have a few sessions where we're going to have, it's going to be kind of targeted towards middle grade students, and we're going to talk about microbes and the different ecology of our streams. So the main thing is that we want our children to come away from it really loving Rock Creek and feeling like they've got some ownership of it, and knowing what type of creatures are living there. So we're really excited about that. And another part of the grant that I'm really thrilled about, because I think of all the different things that we've done with Go Green, the rain barrels has been the most popular, where I've had someone say, when you're doing the rain barrel thing, and we're doing it again. So that's, we're going to have another rain barrel workshop, and this is tentatively scheduled for the summer. Of course, COVID is going to be, kind of taking precedent over that, but I'm very excited about having those two things. So rain barrel workshop and then a microbes workshop. I'm really thrilled to be working with the Parks and Recreation Department on that, and the Hands-On Science Center to get all that out there. So thank you to the folks working on that. This Wednesday, we are having a Compostist with the Mostest party. It is by Zoom, so you don't have to worry about leaving your house. It's going to be at 4:00. If you would like to be a part of it and learn more about how you can use some of the composters that are available to you as a citizen for free, it's through a grant from Interlocal Solid Works Authority, Interlocal Solid, ISWA, sorry. But it's through a grant with them that they're provided to our citizens for free. You can go and pick one up right now at the Convenience Center on Maplewood Drive. And but we want people to be able to utilize them and know how they work and why they're so important. And one of the reasons is, if you have a composter in your backyard, you can reduce the amount of trash that you are putting in a landfill by over 30%. So if you do that and recycling, we're looking at only 30, you're only throwing away 30% of what you would have thrown away before. And when we're looking at spending $50 a ton for us to just cart our trash away, this is a huge way for the city to go green, as in money wise. And of course, we want to be good stewards of our environment and use our resources well. So this is just another great opportunity, and I want all of our citizens to be able to do that. So once again, Wednesday at 4:00, if you'd like to be invited, just send me an email. It's aldermandunn@tullahomatn.gov, and I'll have you there. So thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Dunn. Mayor Pro Tem Blanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few things going on. Last week I had a Duck River Utility Commission meeting. Randall Breaker does a great job out there. He presented the budget. We will have another year with no water rate increase. That's 10 years in a row. So we've had plenty of rain. We have good water. Drink it up, wash your cars, and we'll go from there. I have a light tube meeting, a TUA meeting tomorrow. Just a light tube is plus 20 for signups. We're at 4153. I think the goal when they set this up a few years back was, around 3,500 or something. So we've topped that. We just keep growing on the internet side. Also, along with my colleagues, have mentioned the people, Mr. English and Mr. Pierce, who were recognized tonight. Kudos to them. Public Works always does a great job behind the scenes. We know they do a great job. And also our school system, which quite a few of us on the days here are graduates of the Tullahoma City school system. And so I think they do a pretty good job. I don't remember having a class about being a public servant. Maybe that was Coach Garden, but I don't see anybody up here that's old enough to have had Coach Garden. So, okay, Mr. Novia, you were on the tail end of that probably. So he was a character, but a good teacher, I guess. Arts Council stuff. We have the American Watercolor exhibit coming to Tullahoma, one of the few stops. It's been doing this for years. Miss Lucy Hollis God bless her soul, was very instrumental in getting us in the track to host that. It'll be here from February 6th through the 27th. So if you have time, you want to see some great watercolor work, stop by there and check that out. South Jackson Civic Center has canceled all their January and February events due to the rising COVID numbers in the area. So hopefully in March, with the numbers down, we can bump that up and get back going. Always, I like to give a shout out and say Shop Tullahoma. The Blanks family was in need of a washing machine this last week, and if you go a week without laundry being done, you're not a good smelling eye doctor. So I would like to give a shout out to Walton's. They hooked us up with a new washer and dryer, and they delivered. The service was great. So, let's shop locally if you can. They've been in business for like 47 years. So Walton's is the way to go. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Blanks. Yes, I'll second the shout out to Walton's. A lot of good local businesses. A lot of good local. The reports that I have regarding the boards that I'm currently serving on, Planning Commission, Alderman Blackwell pretty well covered that. So we did have an extended meeting last week. Not a lot of subject, but a lot of conversation. The other board is the airport board, and a lot of good things going on at the airport, building new hangars right and left. So those are important. The kudos again to our boardees tonight, Dr. English and Eric Pierce. They're certainly commended for their contributions to the city. That's about all the report that I have that's worth mentioning. I am very encouraged to see that COVID numbers on the number of new cases in Coffee County have been going down, and they've been going down across the state as well. Whereas the state of Tennessee was number one in across the country in percentage of positive cases that we're having. Now we've gotten off of that pedestal and letting someone else have it. And while we don't understand all the reasons, we need to keep doing all we can to continue to drive those numbers in the right direction. So thank you for everyone's contribution to doing that. So with that, I don't see our city attorney on the line, but he may be one of the phone calls that are on. Mr. Worsham, are you online? If you are, you're recognized for doing your report. Mr. Worsham, if you're on your phone and you will do a *6, you can unmute.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. All right, I'm sorry. I think there is can y'all hear me?
Yes, you can.
Good, okay. Alderman Blanks, I think there must be another virus here in town, because I also had a washer that died this week, and Walton had a banner week. I also have a new washer and dryer at my house. It's going to be delivered tomorrow. So maybe we'll both be smelling good later on. They do really good work, and we have wonderful businesses here in town that do all that. We are working. Everyone in my law office has had the COVID, so we're pretty safe for a while now. We're all recovering slowly, but we are working on the task of, number one, preparing the lawsuits for collection of the 2019 delinquent property taxes. So I'm warning all the people here in town, if you haven't paid those, you have until the end of February before some interest and penalties will attach to those that will add to your expense. We're doing title searches to identify any changes in ownership so that we make sure that we serve process on the appropriate owners at this time. Also, in conjunction with that, we're working on service of process on certain people that weren't served before because of COVID, in preparation for the delinquent tax sale, which will encompass property taxes that are delinquent from 2013 forward. So that's taken a great deal of time by me and some of my staff members. There are a couple of other little minor things that we're working on that with planning and codes and things of that nature that are relatively routine. And so that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Worsham. Ms. Moody,
You're
we're
welcome.
ready for the city administrator's report.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm excited to report that the city's IT committee, which is made up of staff from across all of our city departments, they've selected a vendor for our website, and we are proposing that at the very next board meeting, we invite that vendor. I believe their name is Civic Engage. Civic Plus is the parent company, and they'll do just a brief 5-minute or so presentation to show you some of the features that we're looking to add to our new website and kind of kick off that project. Also, I'll give you an update that Winston Brooks and I continue to work on the Tullahoma ACE Academy with our Tullahoma City School System. Remember, ACE is our advanced coding education. And we did last week have a meeting with IT and computer science teachers from all of the school facilities, and kind of had a very good conversation about what they're currently doing and how we could better coordinate or expand things that we're doing. And one thing we found very interesting was we had posed the question, if we start working on the ACE Academy, do we want to see it as when do we want to do it and where do we want to do it? And would it be an after school or even a summer program or something that we incorporate into the school day? And we were encouraged to hear really almost every school say that they thought it was very reasonable to see it become a part of the academic year and a part of the school curriculum and expanding on what they're already doing. And so we saw that as a challenge to start looking for how we can better equip all of our city schools, not just maybe thinking about the high school or only the middle school. So we're excited. We'll keep working and keep reporting back to you all our progress. And then last, I wanted to just thank TUA for their partnership. As you know, we're meeting on Zoom right now, but they are hard at work helping us upgrade the boardroom at City Hall with new microphones, lights, cameras, television monitors. So we'll be very modern. Everybody will be able to be heard well and seen in a good light when we return to the boardroom, hopefully in March. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you very much, City Administrator Moody. This time we'll go into the consent agenda. And I'll remind you that all matters listed on the consent agenda are considered to be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or a citizen requests, in which case the item could be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. During the portion of the meeting reserved for comments from citizens as shown on the agenda, citizens may request that the board remove an item from the consent agenda so that they may be discussed separately. On the consent agenda tonight, we have 4 items. Item number 2109 is simply the minutes from the January the 11th regular meeting. 2110, the financial report from December 2020. That's on page 25 of your agenda. You'll notice from that sales taxes continued to do well. Item number 2111, to approve the purchase of a vehicle replacement for one of the flatbed dump trucks in the total amount of $45,650.50 from Russell Barnett Ford of Tullahoma for Public Works Department. And 2112 is to approve the purchase of replacement computers in the total amount of $13,397.77, utilizing state contracting pricing from Dell. That's for the Tullahoma Police Department. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve in a second. Ms. Golden, did you get those?
Yes, I have Blackwell making the motion and Blank's second motion. So I'd like to do a call.
Okay.
Ray Noes, do you?
Approve.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Blanks.
Approve.
Alderperson Almacher,
Yes.
Alderperson Berry,
Yes.
Alderperson Blackwell,
Yes.
Alderperson Dunn,
Yes.
and Alderperson McGee.
Yes.
Thank you. That's 7 yeses.
Consent agenda is approved. Okay, we'll move on to old business, and I believe there is no old business. So let's move on to new business. Under new business, we have ordinance number 1546, an ordinance to amend the zoning map of the city of Tullahoma as set forth in the Tullahoma Municipal Code, which is in ordinance number 1392, to rezone a parcel at 104 South Side Street, Coffee County Tax Map 127F, Group J, parcel 1017.01 from C2 General Commercial to R3 High Density Residential District. And you find the details of that on page 34 with maps, etc. So, you get a motion on the floor?
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion from Alderman Berry and approved by Alderman Blackwell. Any discussion on the ordinance? If not, Ms. Rosemary Golden, will you take the roll?
Yes. Mayor Noes,
Approved.
Mayor Pro Tem Blanks,
Yes.
Alderperson Almacher,
Yes.
Alderperson Berry,
Yes.
Alderperson Blackwell,
Yes.
Alderperson Dunn,
Yes.
Alderperson McGee.
Yes.
That would be 7 yeses.
Motion to approve the zoning ordinance is approved. Item number 2113 is to announce a vacancy on the Tullahoma Airport Board. That's the Airport Authority, and that's 3 board members that will expire in February 27th. So with that, I would draw your attention to page 49 of your agenda. Page 49 of the agenda. If I can get there. The details of that relate that there are 3 board members that are having their terms up. So let me read you that background so we get it out in the record. The terms of Mr. Paul Sirks, who is the current chairman, Mr. Jason Waller, and Ms. Jennifer Benelli Longini are expiring February 27th. Mr. Waller and Ms. Longini have served 1 term and are eligible for reappointment to the Tullahoma Airport Authority. Mr. Waller has shared that he would not like to be reappointed, while Ms. Longini would like to be reconsidered for appointment for a 2nd term. Mr. Paul Sirks has served the board for a brief term while fulfilling the remainder of an unexpired term in 2016, and then subsequently being reappointed, fulfilling 1 full term. Mayor Noes and the TAA board recommend that the Board of Mayor and Aldermen consider an exception to the 2-term limit policy, in that Mr. Sirks only serves for such a brief term, to be reappointed to serve a 2nd term and continue his role as chairman. All members of the TAA board are elected by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, so the members are appointed to 5-year terms. A letter of recommendation is attached also from the airport manager. So the recommendation is that comes from staff, is that the board is recommended to announce the vacancy and that it may be created by the expired terms of these 3 board members expiring on the 27th of February, and accept the citizen participation form from interested Tullahoma citizens. Now, in that there is a report from the city airport manager, let me share that with you as well. This is from John Class, the airport manager. And he simply states the same thing that we did earlier about the 3 members' terms being expired. But he also says that Chairman Paul Sirks' term also expires on 2/27/21. Mr. Sirks has served, in his letter, he says, a 56 days of a 5-year term from the board from a board member that resigned in 2016. So we're not sure that Mr. Sirks is eligible to serve a 5-year term. But the airport authority has discussed this issue at length at our last board meeting, and all board members have agreed that Mr. Sirks should be allowed to serve a second 5-year term with the board. We believe that Mr. Sirks is doing a great job serving as chairman of the airport authority in the city of Tullahoma. We'd like to request that the board of mayor and aldermen approve a second 5-year term for Mr. Sirks. Personal input on this, I'd like to advise you that Mr. Sirks has served as chairman now for 2 years as chairman. The airport board has never functioned better than it has during these past 2 years. During the time that Mr. Sirks has been chairman of the board, he has resolved a number of issues, particularly with the Tennessee skydivers. There have been some issues there for some time. Those have currently been resolved, and that is they're functioning very well there now. He goes about solving these problems very quietly and behind the scenes, but he does it effectively. We had an issue at the airport with the paragliders there. They were not following all the rules appropriately for the use of the airport. He met with them and negotiated. Was no negotiation to it. He just explained the rules and had them follow the rules, and they're doing that very well now. That problem has been resolved. Been some drainage issues along some of the hangars on the southwest side of the airport. He's negotiated resolutions to all those problems with the board. So as the liaison from the board to the airport, I have recognized the contributions that Alderman Sirks, that Chairman Sirks has made to the airport authority, and would ask that you consider allowing him to serve another term, as he only served a very brief segment on a previous term. So that is the item number 2113. If there's anyone care to make,
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to allow Chairman Paul Sirks to serve a second 5-year term.
Thank you for that motion.
I'll second.
We have a second from Alderman Blackwell.
I have a couple questions. We can go ahead, Jimmy.
No, go ahead. You beamed in first.
I guess my question, I mean, I don't know him, so I don't have any issue, but these terms are set in our charter or by ordinance, correct? Do we have the authority without changing that to extend those, to change that rule? And then also, how does this impact future? Like, is there a cutoff? I guess that would be my questions. Is one, I can't remember if it's in the charter, if it's in that charter or if it's a resolution, but it's set by one of those. Do we have that authority? And then two, what does this get into precedent-wise?
My response to that is, in my opinion, from what I have observed, is that this board does have that authority, but only this board, not me. So the board could have that authority. I would defer to Ms. Moody or to the city attorney to make a comment on that.
Mr. Mayor, this is Steve Urson. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. I would like to research that issue. I think that maybe it is in an ordinance rather than in our charter. I feel sure that it is, although it might be in the charter of the airport authority itself, which was, of course, formed by the board of mayor and aldermen a number of years ago. I think that the motion is well taken. I would like for the board, if the board would wish to do this, is to waive the provisions in the ordinance that would limit his serving for one more term, subject to my doing the research and giving you some approval, or some other way that we could maybe move forward with that. I think if you do that unanimously, I think that'd be the appropriate way to go. And then I can research that in the next day or two before our next meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Sirks has even offered to, if it's appropriate, he'd certainly be willing to serve a second term, discounting lacking the 56 days that he's served previously. So he's really cooperative in doing what's right with this. But I think your proposal, Mr. Orsom, is certainly well taken, and the board will take that into account. Mr. Blanks, I believe you had a comment. You'll have to unmute.
I know on a lot of the boards that we appoint people to, they are automatically allowed a second term if they're willing to serve. Is that not the case with the Airport Authority?
That is correct. The issue here is in the language states that if you're filling an unexpired term, that counts as a full term.
Okay.
And we've got a situation where Mr. Search has served a very brief period in an unexpired term. He's been a very active member of the board now for that short, very brief unexpired term, and then for the full 5 years, and served the last 2 years as chairman.
Okay. Thank you.
One more quick. I think that I'm okay pending Mr. Worsham okaying it, but I think that we need to set some sort of standard, right? If we're going to do it, because what qualifies as, what if somebody else comes along and the board uses the excuse, well, you already served 50 days, that'll count as a term, so we don't extend their term. I don't know what kind of liability or what kind of precedent. So if maybe we work in there somewhere that, hey, we'll amend that resolution or whatever to say something to kind of make it standard. Or I don't know if I'm making sense.
Alderman Barry, your point is very well taken. I'm very, very conscious of that.
So I'd like to amend that Jenna's motion, if possible, to say.
I'll amend my motion if it makes it easier.
Pending.
Yeah. So point well taken. I'll amend my motion to appoint Mr. Sirks to a second 5-year term, and going forward, or should it be a separate motion? I guess is now, because if we are amending another resolution, another ordinance, should it be a separate resolution?
I think
you can't amend an ordinance that way, Ms. Almacher.
Okay.
Now we're just now this.
If I might.
Well, so give me the word. Help me with the words.
I think we're amending your motion and my second to say with Mr. Worsham's input and depending on, because he's going to do research as to what the set and what precedent this will set and what the number should be in terms of days out, right?
Okay. Yes.
How do we say that?
Well, Ms. Blackwell, if I might comment, I will. If this is a unanimous vote by the board, I will find a way for the board to do this legally.
Okay.
If that's the desire of the board.
I'll amend my motion to approve Mr. Search to serve a second 5-year term pending the outcome of Mr. Worsham's due diligence in researching the propriety of which.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
That's good.
Any further discussion? Okay, Dr. Blanks.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
One
more thing. I look down there. We're appointing three people have terms that are reappointing here.
That's correct.
Is that the
one of those people does not want to continue to serve. One person who has served for 1 year, one term already, is willing to be reappointed. Mr. Search has served that small portion of his previous term, and then now it's expiring.
It's a little bit unusual for us to appoint 3 people at one time, correct?
That is exactly correct. We could have a situation with the board right now where none of those 3 chose to remain on the board. We have to appoint 3 completely new people to the board. We need to look I think we need to treat this separately. We need to figure out a way to stagger some of these terms that are all coming together at one time.
Well, you lose if you had 3 places open and they were all new. That's some brain drain. You don't really want 3 newbies, really, if you can help it. I mean,
that's exactly correct. Yes,
Mayor, how many people serve Airport Authority?
7, I believe. 6 plus. I believe there's 7 on the board.
But we're not appointing 3 right now. We're appointing 2 right now, and 1 is open because one person has chosen not to serve. Correct?
Are we appointing anybody right now? This just says we're announcing a vacancy.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my
So
motion is to approve.
Should our motion, should we even have a motion for appointing anybody, or should we just be announcing a vacancy?
Just announcing a vacancy. But in order to announce a vacancy, if we approve Alderman Almacher's promotion, then there will only be 1 vacancy.
Should we still go through the standard, just announce the 2, get it out there in the public, and then make this decision when it comes back? Let Steve do his research. If it comes back, then, I mean, is that not always, even when we do reappointments, don't we still announce the vacancy publicly?
We will still have a vacancy if Mr. Search is allowed to continue to serve, we'll still have 1 vacancy. We are announcing that vacancy today. We will accept citizen participation forms, and when all those citizens participation forms will be presented to the board as eligible for consideration, then one will be nominated, 2 could be nominated, 3 may be nominated and voted on by the board.
So we're adding an item to the agenda to nominate Paul, or to appoint Paul Search and announce the vacancy. So the item on the agenda is to announce the vacancy.
That is correct.
And we're going to add an item to the agenda to reappoint Paul Search? Is that what's, I guess I'm confused when I read the board packet, I thought we were just announcing the vacancy.
That's what we're doing.
I'm not opposed to Paul. I'm just confused as to what we're doing.
Vacancy. That vacancy could be 1 vacancy or it could be 2 vacancies unless Paul Search is allowed to continue. If he is allowed to continue, there'll be 1 vacancy. If he's not allowed to continue, there'll be 2 vacancies.
I don't know if this helps add any clarity, but the intent tonight, typically we announce a vacancy and it's on consent. We move this to new business tonight so that the mayor would have an opportunity to make you aware of this request that you consider Paul Search for a 2nd term and give you some time to think about it before you vote at the next meeting. I think that we didn't anticipate the motion being made tonight, but it does give some clarity maybe to the public that there is potential that there's going to be 2 reappointments and only 1 vacancy. You do have a motion on the floor, so I think that you probably, when you finish discussion, you probably need to vote on that motion.
I'd like to make a motion, if everybody's done talking, to postpone this until the next meeting.
That puts us in a rather awkward position in that these appointments the terms expire in February. So if we do that,
Does it expire before our next meeting?
Beg your pardon?
Does it expire before our next meeting? No, I don't think they expire before our next meeting. I'm just making a motion to postpone it till the next meeting in February 10th or so.
But we have to get in citizen participation forms, and then those citizens they would come before the board to be eligible, to be essentially introduce themselves, tell you why they want to serve on the board, and then they would be voted on.
I think I'm understanding Alderman Berry's point. I think what he's saying is he's postponing the motion to say yes approval to Mr. Sirks or Dr. Sirks. I'm not sure. But that because we were planning on having him come up on the next one, that's when we'll vote on him in the next one, and we're opening the vacancies up. Is that correct, Alderman Berry? Is that, or Mayor Noes and whoever I'm supposed to ask the question to?
If Mr. Sirks is allowed to continue on the board, we would have one vacancy on the board. Mr. Sirks would not be voted on again. If tonight you allow him to serve a second term, then you've got one vacancy on the board. And we'll accept citizen participation forms to fill that one vacancy.
So
well, his seat's not vacant yet, so we don't have to announce his vacancy. Is that correct?
We typically announce it in advance so that we don't have a lapse.
Excuse me, Alderman. Excuse me, Ms. Moody.
I was just saying that we typically do announce the vacancies. We try to, sometimes we miss it, but we try to announce the vacancies before the term expires so that we don't have a lapse without somebody in the seat.
I just think with the airport manager's recommendation and the board being behind Mr. Sirks, why wait to approve this pending Mr. Worsham's due diligence and researching? I just think that we would be holding up the business of the airport authority, and that's something that I don't want to do unless we absolutely need to.
But we're not. I mean, I would argue that we're not, because his term's expired and he's still there through the end of February. And this just allows us to vote on what was in our board packet tonight versus adding something in, and gives Mr. Worsham time for next meeting to make sure that it's above board.
But we need to know whether or not we are voting on one vacancy or two vacancies. And I feel like this makes it clear. So do you have to have a second for your motion to postpone, or?
No, we have a motion on the board. Excuse me, Ms. Moody. Go ahead.
Daniel made a motion to postpone, and it requires a second if you're going to continue to discuss it and vote on it. Otherwise, we need to move forward with a vote on the motion that is on the floor.
Hearing no second, we'll move forward with the motion that's on the floor. Ms. Rowland, would you please call the roll?
Yes, this is voting on Mr. Sirks getting another term subject to pending the outcome of Mr. Worsham's research. So roll call. Mayor Noes.
Approve.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Let me make sure. Is this the amended motion we're voting on? Yes.
The motion was made by Amacher, seconded by Blackwell, to reappoint Mr. Sirks to serve a full term of 5 years to end February 27th, 2027, pending the outcome of Mr. Worsham's research.
So this is the amended motion we're voting on, correct?
That motion.
Jenna Amacher changed her motion, and Blackwell, did you agree on the change of her original motion?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
So it's the original motion was changed. It's not an amendment to it. The original motion was changed.
Okay, my vote is yes.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. Alderperson Amacher.
Yes.
Alderperson Berry.
No.
Alderperson Berry. Thank you. Alderperson Blackwell.
Yes.
Alderperson Dunn.
Yes.
Alderperson McGee.
Yes.
So I have 6 yeses and 1 no. The 1 no being Berry.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Other new business. There is no other new business. We'll adjourn the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. We'll go to the Beer Board. Public comments for the Beer Board. Hearing no public comments, we'll go to the consent agenda. 21 BB05, minutes of the January 11th meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
Move to approve.
Okay. Okay, I have Blackwell making the motion, and was it McGee making the second?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. And now we're voting for the consent agenda. Mayor Noes.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Blanks.
Yes.
Alderperson Almacher.
Yes.
Alderperson Berry.
Yes.
Alderperson Blackwell.
Yes.
Alderperson Dunn.
Yes.
Alderperson McGee.
Yes.
That's 7 yeses.